like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till I get enough.
All right, so are Chelsea really in the running for the Premier League title this year?
Ooh, that's the question on everyone's mind right now.
It seems like even Super Frank, in his Chelsea news article, is a bit surprised by it all.
Yeah, do Chelsea have a chance of winning the Premier League? That's the title.
And it was just published like a couple days ago on December 13th, 2024. So it's right on topic.
The season's in full swing. You know, usually by now we have a good sense of who the contenders are.
Right. So can Chelsea really pull this off?
Or are fans just getting a little bit,
Ahead of themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Ahead of themselves. It's fascinating to me how quickly this has become a serious question.
Right.
Super Frank mentions how excited the fans are, and that's huge. I mean, it's only December 13th.
And we're already talking title race.
Exactly. It feels like something big must have happened in the first few months, to shift the conversation this early.
Well, Super Frank does say Chelsea are playing some really good football under their new manager, Enzo Maresca.
Maresca, huh?
Yeah. And if you remember, they had kind of a rough start last season with Pochettino.
Oh, yeah. Things were a bit shaky then.
But now it's like a complete turnaround.
More than a turnaround. It's like a total transformation in just a few months.
Right.
The article talks about how all that talent they've got in the squad, it's finally starting to gel.
All that investment in those young players.
Yeah, exactly. Last season, it felt like they were all over the place. But Maresca seems to have found a winning formula.
Okay, so let's dig into that a bit. What is this magic formula?
Haha. Well, it's not magic, but it is pretty impressive.
What's the difference between just having a bunch of talented players versus having a team that really works?
It's a great question, and it's something a lot of clubs struggle with. You can have all the stars in the world, but if they're not playing together, it's just chaos.
Right.
Like, imagine an orchestra with the best musicians. Each one is amazing on their own.
Yeah. But if they're not in sync, it's just noise.
Exactly. It's just noise.
Mm-hmm.
Maresca seems to have done two things really well. First, he came in with a very clear playing style.
So everyone knows their role from the get-go.
Exactly. And the second thing is he's kept a fairly consistent lineup.
Yeah, Super Frank pointed that out. It's a big contrast to last season where it felt like the lineup was changing every week.
Oh, yeah. Constantly changing things up like that. It just messes with team cohesion.
Yeah.
Players might start second-guessing themselves, unsure of their role, if they'll even be on the pitch next week.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What's really remarkable is how much impact a manager can have in just a few months. Sometimes you see a new manager come in and completely change the trajectory of a team.
It can go either way, though, right?
Definitely, for better or worse.
Okay, so let's talk about this title race because it's a pretty wild one so far.
Yeah, buckle up.
Liverpool, they're looking strong, as always. No surprises there.
Business as usual.
But get this, Man City, they had a 7-game losing streak.
Oh, hold on, 7 games?
7 games, including 4 straight losses in the Premier League.
4 in a row. I mean, that's unheard of for a team like City, especially with how dominant they've been lately.
Right. And they were actually 11 points behind Liverpool at one point.
That's insane. To put it in perspective, that's a massive gap to close, even for a team like City.
So it makes you wonder, is this just a blip for them, or are we seeing a real power shift in the Premier League?
Yeah, are we seeing the end of an era or just a little stumble?
And you'd think Arsenal would have capitalized on City's struggles, but they've been a bit up and down themselves, haven't they?
Yeah, Arsenal haven't quite been able to take advantage of the situation as much as you might expect.
So where does all of this leave Chelsea?
Well, according to Super Frank, they're 7 points behind Liverpool.
2 points ahead of City?
And tied with Arsenal.
Wow, so they're actually in a better position than 2 of the usual title contenders.
That's the crazy thing. Super Frank even says a title win is probably unlikely.
Yeah, but look where they are.
They're exceeding expectations and playing really well. It's got to give Chelsea fans some hope, right?
Absolutely. But it's December.
Yeah, not even halfway through the season.
So what are the key things Chelsea needs to do to turn this hope into a real title challenge?
Well, they have to keep winning, obviously.
Of course.
But it's more than that. They need to capitalize on any slip-ups from Liverpool.
So they need to be consistently performing at a high level.
Exactly. And we can't forget about Man City. Can they bounce back to their usual dominant form?
Because if they do, it's going to be very tough for Chelsea to close that gap.
Definitely. And then there's Arsenal. Their inconsistency could be a blessing or a curse for Chelsea. If they find their rhythm, they could become a real threat.
So many moving pieces.
Like a giant chess match.
It sounds like Chelsea needs to play flawlessly. And they need some luck with their rivals faltering.
It's a lot to ask, but not impossible. We've
Okay.
seen crazier things happen in football, right?
Oh, definitely. But there's another interesting factor that Super Frank brings up.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
The psychological impact of exceeding expectations. Can that belief that confidence become a self-fulfilling prophecy?
It's a fascinating question. Think about Leicester City a few years back. Nobody expected them to win the title.
But the belief within that team was incredible.
Exactly. They just kept winning, and the belief grew stronger with each victory.
And Super Frank ends on a note of cautious optimism.
Right.
He says a top 4 finish is likely, but there's definitely room for more.
He's urging Chelsea fans to back their team and have faith.
It's been almost a decade since their last title win.
A long time.
Do you think that hunger for another trophy could be a driving force, especially with this young and ambitious squad?
Oh, absolutely. That hunger can be incredibly powerful, especially when you have a group of players who are eager to prove themselves. They're not weighed down by the baggage of past failures. They're just hungry to win. And this Chelsea squad is packed with talent. Super Frank didn't really go into detail about individual players, but we can't ignore the impact of someone like Nani Madueke.
He's been incredible this season.
Up fire. His creativity could be a real difference maker in this title race.
That's a great point. Individual brilliance can really tip the scales in a tight race like this. But let's shift gears for a moment and play armchair manager.
Ooh, I liked this game.
What are some potential obstacles or turning points that Chelsea might face as this season unfolds? Things that maybe Super Frank didn't explicitly cover in his article.
Well, the January transfer window is always a tricky one. Will Chelsea be tempted to make some big signings to bolster their squad? Or will they stick with the core group that's gotten them this far? There's always a risk of disrupting team chemistry with mid-season acquisitions.
Right, tinkering with a winning formula can sometimes backfire.
Exactly. Remember what happened to Liverpool a few years back when they brought in that big-name striker in January?
Yeah, it completely threw off their balance.
Exactly. And then there's the fatigue factor. Can Chelsea maintain this level of intensity and focus over the long haul? Especially with the added pressure of a potential title race. It's a grind mentally and physically.
The Premier League is a marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. And let's not forget about injuries.
Oh yeah, that's always a factor.
One or two key players going down could derail their entire campaign. Look at what happened to Arsenal last season when they lost their star striker. Their title hopes went up in smoke.
It's a reminder that even the best laid plans can be upended by bad luck.
Exactly. So yeah, there are definitely some potential pitfalls along the way for Chelsea.
But that's what makes it so exciting, right? The unpredictability, the drama, the possibility that an underdog could defy the odds.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we love about football. And this season is shaping up to be a classic. You've got a resurgent Chelsea, a wounded but still dangerous Man City, a consistently strong Liverpool, and a potentially explosive Arsenal. It's a recipe for a thrilling finish.
Speaking of a thrilling finish, Super Frank didn't actually predict where Chelsea would end up in the table. But based on his analysis and your expert insights, what's your gut feeling? Top 4 title contenders. Something else entirely.
That's a tough one. My gut feeling is that Chelsea will secure a top 4 finish comfortably. They've proven they can compete with the best, and their current form suggests they're only going to get stronger. As for the title, it's still a long shot, but not entirely out of reach. If a few things go their way.
Like what?
Well, if Man City continues to struggle, if Liverpool drops a few unexpected points, if Arsenal's inconsistency continues, then yeah, I think Chelsea could absolutely find themselves in a genuine title race come spring. It's not the most likely scenario, but it's definitely within the realm of possibility.
So you say there's a chance.
I'm saying there's a chance.
I like those odds.
So too. And, even if they don't win the title, this season has already been a huge success for Chelsea. They've exceeded expectations, they're playing exciting football, and they've given their fans a reason to believe again.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And that belief is contagious. It spreads from the players to the fans, and it creates this special kind of energy around the club.
Like a snowball effect.
Exactly.
Right.
And football is about more than just winning trophies. It's about passion, emotion, creating memories that last a lifetime.
Well said. Well said. And speaking of memories, let's circle back to that final thought that Super Frank left us with. It's been almost a decade since Chelsea last tasted Premier League glory.
Wow, has it really been that long?
It has. Do you think that historical context adds an extra layer of pressure or motivation for this team?
That's a great question. It's almost like this psychological burden they're carrying the weight of these near misses and almost so seasons?
Right, but you're also right that it could be a source of immense motivation. This young squad has a chance to etch their names in Chelsea's history to be the ones who finally bring the trophy back to Stamford Bridge after all these years.
That's a powerful narrative.
Narratives matter in football. It's not just about the tactics and the scores, it's about the stories that unfold along the way. The underdogs defying the odds, the fallen giants clawing their way back to the top, those are the stories that capture our imaginations and make us truly care.
And this season, with Chelsea's resurgence and Man City's struggles, the narrative is wide open. Anything could happen.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting. We could be witnessing the start of a new era in the Premier League.
I love that sense of possibility, that feeling that we're on the cusp of something truly special. But as you said earlier, football is unpredictable. It's a game of inches, of moments of decisions that can change everything in an instant.
You said it. Chelsea's fate is ultimately in their own hands. They need to keep performing, keep grinding out results, and keep believing in themselves. If they can do that, who knows what might happen? Maybe we'll be back here in a few months dissecting a Chelsea Premier League title celebration.
Now, that's a deep dive I would be thrilled to have. But for now, listener, we've reached the end of our exploration of Chelsea's title chances. What are your takeaways? Are you feeling optimistic, cautious, maybe a bit of both? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
And remember, regardless of what happens in the league table, enjoy the ride. Savor the moments, the goals, the drama, the heartbreak. It's all part of what makes football such a captivating sport.
Beautifully said. So until our next deep dive, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep the passion for the beautiful game alive.
Absolutely.
Sound the alarm. I'm coming up. We'll have a ball. I'm sweet like a buttercup. You're a Barbie doll. Show them all what I'm made of. Strut down the hall. Won't stop till